The whole world became entertained when the invention of the television allowed viewers to be taken into a whole new realm of possibilities. From comedy to drama, viewers were at the edge of their seats for a long time. However, now as we live in an age of flat screens and Netflix, shows have become boring, predictable even. Then came reality shows. People from country to country once again sat in place to see shows which bared real-life emotions, ranging from History Channel survival shows to ABC's The Bachelor. It all seemed exciting until one station pushed the envelope. Perhaps this push was needed, or perhaps it went to show how far depraved we all became trying to escape boredom. Either way, the station is no more. SVL was a new channel, picked up by Dish Network. With no real experience to show, SVL's president wanted to make his station the most viewed in the world. A bold ambition indeed, yet he was determined to accomplish the impossible. The president gathered his think tank to come up with a show that will grab everyone's attention. Naked and Afraid pushed its boundaries by adding 2 viewers into remote areas naked while surviving for 30 days. They could call off the stay at any time. A dangerous method, but still safe. The president wanted his show just as tough, but nowhere near safe. No experienced outdoor man would cut it. He wanted fresh meat to be dropped off at places of his choosing. No clothes, no cameramen, and no help. The contestant would have to survive 3 months alone. The search began. The station workers began stalking people whose lives were dull, lonely, empty, and kept day-to-day journals of their actions. The president viewed every contestant carefully, finally finding the right one, a man named Ted. A skinny, frail man, Ted was a widower who worked the same job every day. No kids. He has a pet cat named Jingles. A more pathetic victim couldn't be found. He was it. The president's secretary started a conversation with Ted, told him about the show with only the details he needed to know. Things like money, a trip, stuff that gives person hope in this dreary age. He accepted, and now the fun was about to begin. Cameras were attached to various trees at the new and unknown place Ted was to call home. While at the site, he was forcibly stripped naked, left with nothing, and told by the president himself of the truth. Ted begged to be taken back, but it was too late. He was on the other side of the world, on a place called Low Man's Isle. The president told Ted that all he had to do was survive for 3 months, and he could go home a rich man. Ted's begging fell to deaf ears as the helicopter took off, leaving him alone. It was getting dark. Ted quickly tried searching for shelter, yet none could be found. He broke branches, collected leaves, and dug small holes to stay in. Shaken and afraid, he places the leaves on himself. It was a restless night, as uncertain whispers flooded the stagnant air. SVL had the event live for viewers to watch. Everyone saw as day after day, Ted slowly deteriorated. 10 days into the show, it seemed that he started to talk to himself. At first, he answered to a man, then what seemed to be a woman. People watched as this frail man began descending into madness. The ratings shot through the roof. People kept their TVs on all day and night to see Ted go through these horrid changes, which began to frighten most of the viewers as Ted started changing, not only mentally, but physically. He started becoming thinner. Thin became pale as bone. He was losing his hair, and his eyes were becoming a milky white. 15 days passed, and Ted began to scream in certain directions. It was obvious that he needed help. Yet some viewers could swear that they could see who he was yelling at. Some could see people, others couldn't. Was he truly alone? 25 days passed, and something began to disturb the viewers. Chills ran through them as they saw Ted just staring into the camera, staring back at those viewing him. Not uttering a word, not blinking once. He no longer looked human. For 4 days, he stared at the camera without eating, sleeping, or blinking. Until later that night, he smiled. Teeth were missing, his gums were bleeding. He let out a scream before cutting his tongue out to throw it to the camera. SVL received thousands of calls wondering if Ted was okay, or if the show was even real. Either way, the channel hit #1. The president sent people to pick Ted up, but no one came back. Worried about the first crew, the president sent out a second team. No one returned. Finally, he went himself to see if his crew was okay. The 2 choppers were spotted, but no one was around. The president searched the area. Whispers could be heard all around him. He followed the voices, which took him to the camera Ted had thrown his tongue at. The president fixed the device and propped it back into place. In doing so, viewers could see that just behind him had been Ted, leaning on corpses of the crews that he had been eating. The viewers saw as Ted slowly approached the president from behind and killed him. Ted was never seen again. The SVL channel was no more. Police searched the station and found Ted's file. They discovered that Ted's drop-off location was never on an island, but in forest called Okigahara in Japan, also known as a suicide forest.